Hello everyone, and today I am joined with this person. Introduce yourself.
Xander.
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 And what are
My
you?
name's Xander.
You're my fiance.
Oh.
No,
you said, what are you? And I was like...
This video is going to be all about you and your gender identity. So just share your story about recognizing you're trans, the different identities you've gone through, and then what your gender identity currently is and what it means to you.
Okay.
You go.
Alright, so around age 11 or 12 is when I started to notice that I was different. I mean, I always knew that I was different, and it's kind of like a...
Cliche.
11, 12, I was always like a really tomboyish kind of person, and so I just thought that I was, the same as like other tomboyish people, but like, I don't know, I felt different inside. It was much more than just like expression. When I was 13, I came out to my mom as a lesbian, and that identity fit me for a little bit. I started experimenting with my expression. I was more of an androgynous kind of person. That was around the time that I was homeschooled for 9th grade because I was bullied a lot in middle school and junior high school. In 10th grade, I transferred to the school that
I was going to.
Yeah, Manchester. The summer of 2013, I was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for self-harm and ED and a lot of other stuff. There was a lot of things happening. There were a lot of things happening that I couldn't really put my finger on. Like I had all of these deep emotional feelings about myself, but I didn't know where it was stemming from. In the ward with me was a trans guy, and this was before I had a term for how I identified. He was very welcoming, and he was the first person that, introduced himself and made it known that I could talk to him if he needed it, or if I needed it. And he was telling me about his experience as a trans guy and how he wanted to bind and his steps in his transition. And I started to think to myself, well, dang, I feel that way. I think that's when I really knew, it was kind of just like an in-the-moment thing. Like, I found out right then and there that that's who I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be a guy. So a couple days afterwards, I was still in the hospital, and I told my mom, you need to bring me like some guy-smelling deodorant and like all of this other stuff. And I had come out to her. Well, I think it was a little bit later that I came out to her because I wasn't really ready yet. My mom is very accepting. After I was admitted out of the hospital, I just started to throw all my clothes away, throw all my feminine clothes away, and I totally revamped my wardrobe and started experimenting with names. As soon as I came out as trans, I knew Alexander was the name that I wanted to go by, only because I kind of have like this weird thing with my name. I go by Xander, and I got the name Xander from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I thought he was the cool guy. He was nerdy, but cool at the same time, fighting evil. And so I wanted to go by that. I know it's kind of silly, but...
It's cute!
Yeah, but I really, once I knew I wanted to be on hormones. Like, weeks after I started researching and doing anything I could to gather information about medical transitioning, I was off to the races. I mean, anything that I could to further my transition, I did. I practiced talking with my voice lower. I started having people call me by other different pronouns, like he, him pronouns, and started having people call me Alex and Xander or Alexander. This was all happening throughout 11th grade. I started to medically transition through 11th grade, and then over the summer of 2014 is when I had top surgery. I went into senior year as a guy. I had changed my gender marker, on everything. My name was legally changed on everything. I had been on testosterone for about a little over a half a year, so I had masculine features. I felt very good. Like, I felt very whole with that identity, but it's only been recently, I think at the start of 2014, I don't know, I saw a big problem with, identifying as a guy and having to present in a certain way. But given my circumstances, I had to, due to, I don't know, I was in a relationship that really enforced me having to be masculine. And I had a real problem with that. I mean, like, I internalized that a lot, and only until about the midway through last year, so the summer of 2016, I really started to come around with my expression, and I don't feel pressured into acting or looking a certain way. But over the summer as well, I started experimenting with different identities. So the one that fits me right now is Genderflux. I explain it as like a ratio kind of thing.
He was telling me how he felt. And I was like, that sounds a lot like Genderflux. Have you ever heard of this? And then he was like, no, what's that? And I told him that it's like when your gender fluctuates in your situation between like being a guy and then not having a gender, so like agender, like me. So like anywhere along the scale, like if one day you feel like 75% a guy, 25%
like
no gender.
It's like the whole ratio
I
thing.
explained it to him like in ratios, and he was like, holy crap, that makes sense.
Yeah, because sometimes I just don't feel like I have a gender. I just feel like a person. But I mean, it's not
a 24/7 thing like it is with me.
No.
So what pronouns do you use now?
I use he, him, or they, them, and I don't really enforce either on any special occasion. You can just use either and it'd be fine. It doesn't matter what kind of day it is. But yeah, I feel a lot better in terms of, I don't feel like I'm constrained.
That's kind of like how I felt when I went from identifying as like a trans guy who used to identify to identifying as agender. Like when I was a trans guy when I was 14, I remember feeling like extremely insecure and like pressured with how I would look, and I didn't feel like I was entirely me. And so when I came out as being agender, I felt like I was finally comfortable with myself and expressing myself the way that I did, in terms of like actual like expression. And so is that how you feel? Like now you feel like you really are like comfortable with being you?
I just feel like I can breathe. But I mean, I know that other people aren't gonna feel that way, and that's usually why I just keep it on the inside. Like, I just tell people, yeah, I'm a guy, because it's just easier that way. But like on the inside, that's how I identify. And I know that a lot of other people that we know who identify as the same thing, or like have an identity that is along the same lines, they prefer to just not tell anybody because it's easier. But
and I know that like what we're talking about isn't in like expression. Like obviously there are trans guys that are extremely feminine, but this isn't that, you know?
Yeah.
This isn't like expression oriented. This is like actual identity. So it's not like to say that, oh, trans guys can't be feminine or anything like that. It's not like that. But it's like a weird pressure that like makes us feel uncomfortable with our identities, and then we realize, oh wait, the reason why we feel uncomfortable with our identities is because that's not like the right identity yet for us. So like with my experiences of like coming out as agender, it wasn't that I felt like as a trans guy that we're not allowed to be feminine. It was that I realized that the insecurity that I felt from that was because that wasn't the right identity for me. That wasn't actually how I identified, because I felt so insecure with that identity. And then when I came out as agender, I felt a lot more like me
Mm-hmm.
and a lot more comfortable being me and expressing all of the different aspects of my identity. And so it's not like expression oriented, it is like actually our identities.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit about this person and about being Genderflux.
Mm-hmm.
And what can they do?
If you like this video, like and share and subscribe.
Share and subscribe. I think that's so cute that you say like and subscribe.
Check out, wait, is there gonna be like videos? Go check out these videos. I don't know.
Those pop up in the end
Those-
screen.
Oh.
So check out these videos. Bye.
Bye.